What's going on, guys? No guys here. Welcome back to the video. Now in today's video we're going to go over the 4-3-3 setup. Now I wanted to add some things in. As I said, the 4-3-3, the one that I made yesterday, is basically like a more conservative 4-2-3-1. I'm actually genuinely surprised the amount of people that actually really enjoy using that formation. 4-3-3s are not as common, and it's more of a harder formation to play, but more, I would say, basic. I would say players from Division 7 to Division 2 really enjoy it because the amount of players you have in midfield. This is the code. This is going to be the defensive variation of the formation. What we do have in this system is we have the two CDMs. We put the center mid and holding. That is one of the best benefits over the 4-2-1-3, is that you have the two CDMs, but instead of it being a cam as it is in a 4-2-1-3, is that you have the center mid and you can play that play in holding. And then what you do is you have both the left mid and right mid. I have them as wingers, so they're going to run back and help defend the wing areas, hence them being on balance. When you're defending, you do that setup. The only thing is, with the wider players, they don't play necessarily as left mids and right mids, for example, in a 4-5-1. And that is why they're not going to be coming back as much. But in the defensive part of the middle part of the pitch, you're going to be defensively stable. We've got both the left back on fullback on defend. A striker might be the only thing where, like, maybe I would say a false nine is worth it if you're trying to close the game out. But I think advanced forward gives you a bit of everything, not complete. Make sure they stay in the middle. That can be the outlet, of course, when you lob the ball up front. And of course, you can have that scoring opportunity as well. Both the left back, right back on defend, and CDMs on holding. Do you want to get better at FC25? Now, before you skip ahead, what if I told you if you joined my FC school and you didn't get better after 1 month, I'll refund your money? I can say this because I've been running my FC school for many, many years, and thousands of students join and even stay on. We go over complete in-depth gameplay tutorials showing you both the theory of something and the gameplay examples using real-life examples in a structured format that's like a course. The videos are on a systematic learning system teaching you everything from the core mechanics, the basics, to the meta, so you can get better as a whole, with explanations that go beyond the scope of my YouTube channel. FC School has already started with every single tactical layout, focuses, meta cards, and learn the meta before it even becomes the meta. So come join thousands of others in a mature audience community for those looking to get better at FC25. Patreon.com/NoGuides, or click the link down below. Now, when you join, we already have a library of hundreds of videos, more than my YouTube channel, in fact, with new videos on FC25 getting constantly added, so you'll never run out of content. The biggest mistake people do is they spend thousands of dollars on FP points every year, thinking this will make them better, but it won't. But now it's time for you to make that change. Don't forget, if you don't get better after 1 month, just send me a message and I'll refund your money. That's the Nil Guides guarantee. Links down below in the description. Patreon.com/Nil Guides. See me, I always go 31 because, as you see, you don't want to go too deep, but you want to be the lowest you can be in balanced. And the build-up style might be one of the only few formations where I recommend short passing. And the reason why I recommend that is because you have the players nearby, the short, intricate plays, the 1-2s, the players close to your CDMs, left back and right back, they tuck in, center mid also drops deep. So that is the only formation, one of the few, where short passing actually makes sense. And unfortunately, you can't make the wingers any more defensive. I mean, if you want to, you could maybe even go towards the inside forward if you want to put one of those players. But even a wide playmaker, I'll just leave it. I think winger on balance will give you the best all around, where they're being wide enough so you can lob the ball and use them to get down the wing with the through balls player locks, but they're still coming back. So that would be the defensive system. Then we'll go over to the balance system. This is the one that I talked about yesterday. We got balance. We just put this on 50 just for example's sake. But we've got the roaming, kind of similar to what I mentioned yesterday. The difference is there's no player on, effectively no fullback going forward. So you wanted to play a natural 4-3-3. Maybe you wanted to start the game with this. This is the only player that I wouldn't change. Don't put them on holding. You can maybe put them on box to box if you really want to, but I think playmaker plus, because you need that middle player between the CDMs and then of course the strikers. But there is no player during the attack. You can always trigger a player manually. That's why I always say it's better to use a formation like this, and you can see you've got balanced. It's always good to start with a formation like this where it's naturally quite balanced and your left back and right backs on stay back, and then you trigger them forward when you need to. That way you have the support of a winger when you want to with the L1 trigger, or LB if you're on Xbox, and that way you keep it stable defensively. So you're not in an ultra defensive state where you're on short passing, everyone's on holding, you've got no attacking players per se in the midfield of the pitch, whereas this one you got players all over. CDMs are there for stability. You got a center mid to help link up the play between the three attackers. And of course, you got the inside forwards. So they start wide naturally, and then they go into the final third, into that narrow shape. And then we're going to swiftly move on to the attacking variation. As you can see, almost identical. The only key difference here is you can see that one, the players, in particular the fullback, is an attacking wingback. And then the build-up play is counter. Now, for this, you're going to see the depth exactly the same. Look, you can increase the depth or decrease it as you want to. I thought for this one, let's keep the depth the same, because you're just basically changing to a more attacking stance, and you just have a player join the attack. If you want to, you can experiment with a deep line playmake if you want for one of these players, especially maybe on the right hand side. You may want that player for the L1 triangles or the first time L1 triangles if you're into abusing those mechanics. But of course, I'm not going to think about those too much, but that is something that gives you an option. And then you've got the fullback defender on the left back, where that stability. The only downside is I wish you could do something like a box to box here, but you can't with CDMs. I know a CDM, okay, technically they can't be a box to box, but you see in real life, CDMs have the ability to move forward when they want to. So they would have if they had like maybe like a situation where they can play that deep line playmaker, but if there was like a role where maybe you could move forward or AI makes them move forward, would be fantastic. And of course, another thing is counter. So as players make more runs in behind, and of course you have that right back overlapping, so you have that 4-striker layout effectively when you have possession of the ball. So that would be the attacking setup, and that would be the exact same. It's the same one from yesterday's, as I mentioned, with the D-pad tactics. Then we're going to go, so that would be the one, that would be the one to close the game out. This would be the more balanced option to start the game with. And this would be the formation. Okay, let's say you're losing 1-0. You're struggling to get through with balance. You're going to be a bit more attacking. You can go to attacking. Or maybe let's say you start the game and you feel your opponent is weak and you can capitalize. Then you can go to attacking. You can always switch between these inside the game. It takes about 15 to 30 seconds depending on how you change it, or you wait for the ball to go out of play when you want to change a tactic. And then we're going to go over to the attacking variation. So this would be the one with one CDM. So all we've done here is we've done a quick switcheroo, put the balance on 60. You don't really want to be going too high, especially when you're adding one CDM, and that is the code, of course, on the top left. But here, the benefit is that you do have the holding CDM defend, and you have 2 center mids. Just to get a bit of a balance, we put one of them on playmaker, one of them on box to box. If you want to replicate this as close as possible to like the formation before, you can put a holding player on this one of the CDMs. That way, when you're attacking, it's still going to be the same system, but effectively you'll have a center mid that sits higher. Don't forget CDMs, they sit deeper. So this way you got an extra player in midfield for the attacking presence, but everything else is kept the same. That's something that you can do if you want to, but I personally put it on box to box and playmaker. We put both the left back and right back on wing back balance. I've explained this yesterday. Look, feel free. If you go into the game and use this formation like, oh wow, you know what? Putting both these players on wing back balance is too attacking for me, then change it. If something doesn't work for you, just change it. It's like effectively, it's like me letting you drive my car and saying, you know what, I've got long legs, I'm 6 foot. You know what, sit in the car and drive the car. If you're 5'8", you're going to be pushing the seat forward. You're not going to be sitting there driving the car when you can't even reach the steering wheel, are you? So the point I'm trying to say is make the changes. If you know you're struggling, I think this is a really good balance. If you're asking me, because they're not attacking wing backs, they go forward, but they also provide the width, and then you can also have those attacking players. You can put one of them on fullback defend if you want to, or if you want to, like me, leave them both on wingback defender. And to be honest, I think if you can't get through with this system is going to be very, very good to get through. We got counter as well, 60 as I mentioned before. And the benefit is you do have a lot of players. Think of this like a 3-4-3, you could argue sometimes. I know you got 2 players, both the left back and the right back, but if you want to make this into a 3-4-3, just put one of these players on fullback defend. Whichever side's got the plus. But what I would say is on the side, if you do have one player like this and you do something like this, like that, then make sure the player that's going forward, you put them like this. And then what I'd probably even do is maybe even doing a quick switcheroo like this. Maybe you could argue box to box is better. Actually, maybe you can argue, but what I would personally do to make this more attacking is I would just flip. So I'll go like here. And then I put box to box balanced. And then here, I put playmaker attack. So something like this. So that way I'll be attacking more heavy on the right hand side, if that makes sense. And then on the left hand side, I still have that Foden available. I still got the box to box player, but this way I can commit more players on the right hand side. Something just to think about and could be a good way to penetrate. And then we're going to go over to, we have to add in, of course, another formation here, and that has got to be the 4-2-1-3. It's the exact same tactical layout that I gave you before. I might use it on 50 depth, counter, and 4-2-1-3. Again, this is the same variation, except for you just have a central attacking cam as opposed to a central midfielder, and therefore you can put a shadow striker. You can even put a playmaker if you want to be an in between. But so if you don't want, if you like the 4-3-3 with two CDMs, but you don't want it to be too defensive, but you want it to be too attacking, playmaker would be the good balance. But with this formation, I really like the shadow striker. Again, look, adjust this for yourself. If you are struggling, I have to keep saying this, I can't believe, but if you're struggling with the left back going forward and you're conceding, then just put the left back on stay back and trigger the play yourself. Please, it's very, especially if you're truly here and you want to improve and you really want to reach the highest ranks, the rank ones, the ranks two, you got to change your tactics. Do you, even if a pro player copies another pro player's tactics, do you think, let's say for example, X pro player copies Tex's tactics, do you think he uses it exactly like for like? You might be like, okay, you know what? I really like, for example, one of my CDMs on Deep Line Playmaker said they would change it for that system. Even the pros, they don't go copying the exact same tactics, the exact same depth. They adjust it. They use the tactics as a template, like Text tactic or Anders, and they adjust it themselves. And that's what you should be doing as well. But then we got that. And then, to be honest, for a pressing formation, look, you can maybe go with a 4-2-1-3, like this system, and use a higher depth if you want to go for pressing formations. Use the exact same layout. The only difference is that, but the thing is, you're better off going to a formation with two center mids. So I'd recommend, although it's going to be too long to make it in this video, but I'd recommend a 4-3-3 with two center mids and then the attacking cam in the middle. So you got two center mids here. So that would be a center, instead of seeing a center mid, and then a cam. That way you could be more pressing, more up front. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget, if you want to get better FC, come to my Patreon, patreon.com/noise. You don't get better for 1 month, we'll refund your money. We've got power shots, first time lob passes, how to get into the final third, so much new gameplay tips, and a new final third series on creating chances. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take it easy and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.